Ole tūlanga masani ma le wha moe moe. Ole nei tau a fiafi. Ia ma le polokalame masani. Le taulogologo. Ia wasu iai le polokalama masani o na whatinoina. E le uso au auna. Ia suefoina. Se tu suasua. O na o ngase o le tino. Ia ole ala wa tūlai mai ai le polokalame o le taulogologo. Awa le tātou mawhitanga nei tau a fiafi. Ia, e amatalava e tātou saili le mana o le ngang pa i e fisosoani lo tātou vai. Wha malama i o tātou mawhau. Ia, meisi o tātou manatu. O whiwhili ai le tusi o kolose. Tau pa tolu, alon vai bos fulma lua. O le tau po atoa le fulma lua tau fulma fitu. Ia o whiwhili ana vai o bos fulma lua. Wha vai ai se upu whaalo tutele. Ia, se upu tōma tau inai. Ile mamalu o le amwhai on fisotai mai. Ile nei wha moe moe. Tōru le tau po kolose. Wha lus fulma lua vai upe wha penei. Lona vai tawina. Wha fonga. O le nei, ia ofu o tau i le alofa muti vale. Ma le anga le lei, ma le loto maulalo, ma le anga malu, ma le onsai. Whapei o e o filfilia e le tua, o e o paia, ma ua alo faina. O le ala ngā upura ufa o ngai, ka le tusi o kolose o le ofu. O le ofu la ma le lanu o le ofu le whaamtala i winga le lei e ao na soifuani tangata. O no le wha moe moe ea i o le tusi. I tu inatu le kare si i kolose. O le poto ma le anta mai o le tua. E i loa i upuma mio a tangata. O le wha moe moe fo i o le awa onga i Yesu i o na soo ma lau kerusiano. Ia nofo fair fun. Fe tau siai, fe avatai. Me ia wa mai, o lanu o le ofu wa mai mo ia keriso. Ia e pei o na whaitau inatu. E whapea o le ofu o tau i le alofa muti vale. Ia le anga le lei, loto maulalo, anga malu, on sai. Whapei o e o whiwhiria le tua. Ia e paia ua alfaina. Ia alfa moe ia tātou maua nei mea alofa le ngā paia. Pei ona mai e paura ala i le ata o le ofu ua ia keriso o tātou tangata. Ia o whatasi a tātou upu. Ia atoa ma o tātou winga. Whaani ai le mātanga o fie o le tala leia le tua. Mana le whaolotanga. Na mafu ai o na liuting tangata no na anga lelei lo na paia ma lo na mamalu e ala i lo na alo Yesu Keriso le ua whaia le whaolotanga tātou te iloa ai le ola e whaavau, o le a tātou wifo matitalo. Maualunga pea le vi inga o lau fio. Whanene ina pea lo mamalu. Ma e sula ina i lo vi inga malama tau whaafitai. Whamaunia ona o e leo ina ma e tau au ina. Lo la tau soifua ma le mātou wola. E mafua ai ona tino se wha moe moe. Pe lava ona e au au i o whiong pa ia. O le la au leo le soifua. Lea watuai le whaafitai. Awa ana le seinola wanga le leilea. E le mwhai ona taunu mai i le ofisa whasala lau. Lau e ka le sia. Ia warwha moe moe le nei taua fiafi. Mātou te whaafitai awa whiong pa ia. Wa ro mātou ta yala ma le sulu i o mātou wōlanga. Mātou te whaafitai le mana o le ngā pa ia. So soani lo mātou vai. Mātou te whaafitai le whaarotanga wātou toa o na fōi mai ala i lo ora pele Jesu Keriso. Mātou te whaatou e se mea o mātou le anto toa i lumo la wafio e pe yone si le fia. Mea o mātou whaia. Ia, malele i loa. Ato ma mea o mātou whaia malele i loa. Mātou te walau ia whamirianga i le nei vai tau. Whainga tā o mātou iai. Mei se le whaamai. Leo ina, puipuina i mātou uma. Ia te i mātou, ia le matala o mawhauwhau. Whaalongo ia popo inga. Ia mai e sai nisi ma whamai. Ina ia mātou saonga le muwai. Ia mai se o le whapaola mai o le wao. Tai ina ai i mātou. O le nāra mātou te talo le nei tau wafiafi tātou mo la wafio. Manuia ai le wha moe ai fwoi tu mau le vi inga ia te oe. I lo lava suafa Jesu mātou te talo atuai. Amene.
Ya, manatu o le ua. Umana ave le whaamua i le tua, whaitawina o na fionga, ia, ma le talon ta penaina, sao nia le sunga le whawhengainga, le teitai o tatu po kalame le nia fiafi, sunga ia Sepulona Tanuvasa. Ia, manatu o le a papa ave loa le tatu po kalame, e pei o na ta ua le sunga le whawhengainga, ia, o lea pe o suitulanga o na ua le ngā whatia le nia fiafi, ia, e le sunga le lia wa o suifuei na setu suasua, ia, e masani o na whengai ma tatu po kalame masani, sa afir whai oa i aso ngafua te tasi. Ia, i o lea lava e whaawau le tautua, ia, ma le o nanga anisi ufonga o le taia fau, ia, e whai eilu leo tulau, e whai mafunga tau molu sunga le whai whiau, ia, e ma te whatalo whatua ia te oe sa molu suafa manu malo, Jesu Keriso lo tatu o li whaola. whaafitai no nanga leita tai lo tu sui fua ma so matola ma fuai on tatu o lia le amatanga foi o le nei vai asu whengai au ma ngā ruenga. Se taimi po se tula o momua, ia o le mafutai foi ma nisi o tamaitai, o le ngata o le tamaitai o le whengai ma whainga palota e tamo e wha pule nuu po le mea o le City of Carson, ia ma le tamaitai o ia le nā o le o Lisa, o ia le nā Lisa Mao, o ia le iato, pio i la ua nā o la whatinoina, le whai unga o tātou porkalame i le nei ia fiafi o si mailau whaafonga, ia tātou te ave i le li, te ave i le atua e manuiai me uma tātou te whaia, e mo te nei, whatalo whatu, ia le sunga le whawhengainga, ia malo tangata, ia i le soa whamanu malo, o lo tātou mataisili. Ia ero mai, la tu atu lewa no le sunga le whawhengainga, e amatai le tātou porkalame.
Ia nasa moa wa matu se lima whawhelai, e ala i le sunga i la wawa, al whatonu le ala leo, ia ma le e ka le si al si fonga tai fo lo ilalo la na tai tainga ia lang sua iai ia le vai au oli o le vai au le sene ia o Samuelu al popo matafeo o le fa wa per pesi al metau por neta wa fiafi ono le vai tau fo io o finaunga o sailinga e pe ona ia fo le se tasio a fine o Samoa o lo o fa moe o lo ia fa moe ia e tau va i le tofi fai pule o le mei o le City of Carson ne nga tailea o tele va henga fo o nei tunu mo Samoa se o lava fo i va henga te tele o party e lua le tunu nei ia o le wa matana va solo ala to convention ia o le talo ala fai ngā ruenga o fea lava e li lifa ia i le filinga ma le malo ia o le tangata na o vala awina me le ma fili ele mtampo ya preambo le vala awina o a preambo pe o i a mata ia tala o le swinga ato a mai na mata mai le mtampo mo le kenese si mai mtampo suma tasi se fulu ma le lua loa ia o fina ngalo le tua e fili se tangata late mafuta mate o se fea ngainga se tangata e wha moe iai o le ale tapua ia i e tua tele pe o le masani ai le amtanga o nā mai tau a le a fili lava e tasi lava le atua la tapua iai e le manino la suafa o le tua le vale winga a Peramo mera e taua ia a Peramo o Isaako Iakopo o Petiliaka awa a whaalangi le tua o Petiliaka o le tua o mātou tamā a pele amo Isaako Iakopo. Fito amo wale suafa o le tua no fisili mose ia o se mta upo e ta oto se si teimi a la ta roa se tatou pese foi mai loa tatou tala noa loa ile lo loto le vala wina o a pele amo ele tua
pea whakua oni timunga o loto le tutu sa wala e ona le maua se iunga o ai ele poe wana upu e se ina dia oe mana oi ai le loto ai vai lo utino e so we tao eva nei o peta tino nofo ile malio si o loto awane e toima salo
baseball
salo funga e tali tonu beata so sola i maunga le vabea solo wape o se ata o polinga ilonge anganga le ai se mea o te mawhaia na o le iunga o lo whai o le nei tala e ma ta utia o ole o tiu o te talia Sao tamilo ilo ia o aonga Malaulo tau mule alofa Iava aia we fa ailoa Lofa amuli mai samo Alau pelewa e pole pole vale Ua e tui le utale vale Ua e leo na sai mai fa pale pale O solto vita mai le langi aue Ia e fai ue musu ia te au A o fea fo i au tala mana i au Ufa ama whana whana O le nei ua osia A o le nei ua le betia Talo whaelo au sama whanau Ia la upele Ia la upele Ia la upele Ia e mana tua o le aua La e vala ua A e se vali A wane i e toe te pai tua Ia la upele Ia la upele Ia la upele Ia e mana tua o le aua La e vala lua A e se vali A wane i e toe te pai tua
Ia, o le pesele na taina ia wala u whaafonga tāpuai tu sai mo le tātou wha moe moe i le nei tau fiafi. O le mawhirifilia le tau pa suma lua le amtanga tātou te whasoa ai e tu sai ma apere amo malona ainga ma le wala wina e tu ua le lau ele sa whawhailele ai lona soifua ma le ola. Ia ai whalongolongo i le tua ma le wha moe moe i le nuu o le whiwhilia e whai mona i le lumanai. Ia ai le i whapea na malanga loa pre amo aru sao i lalo i kanana. Malanga alu i lunga i lau ele o ta ua nei on po o Iran. Ia ar vai taimi Abramo pe o nasa fausia ele tele ma lo a tu maula welele pe o le lau ilo o lau welele ia o le taimi o le whainga ma lo Papelonia tu lai mai o lona malosi ia malanga i lalo i kanana anu atu i aikupito malo tele o le malo aikupito le stama i malo tanto lo ai permita o lo mai on ponei wa tala no lo tu nga mau tupu ia ele ila tu nga mau sidi atu tu nga mau o forau pe on tanto mata ia ile mtautia o le malo si fo ele fa nga malo me o mai en ferwa ia aperamo tangata mau solo o tangata o lo ferwa i mtaita inda i musmusunga le nga ta sinimenta to telo o le filia aperamo o fina ngalo vai to tase o le tua lua eleva pea na ato atoa aper amo i ona winga. Tele mea wha le tonu ale tau ina. Ai wha mangalo le tua. Ona le ustai o Abraham e tu ua lona nuu ma le a inga ma le lau ele. Na soi fuai. Ai alu le nuu o la wala wina o i e no fuai. E le ngata ilea. O lau ele i on taimi o Abraham. O tangata uma malo uma e tele atua e tāpua i ai. O le sia atua malosi sa tāpua i ai ai kupito le la. Mulmuli an foi e vapena i Roma ma tunu ki tele. Ia ni mafuanga. Ai le tasi la se atua. Tō fua le atua ma le mea ua pule ai. Atua swing o tau. Tau mawhanwhana o le malulu, le tua o le sami. Tua o maunga. Ai moi moi ro o te tua o le tura i o Abraham. Ina i mawhai o na whaalongo i le leo le tua lea. Nea ele o ta ua maile ingoa. E tasi a. Le wha moi voi leo le tua na wina Abraham. Ia tāpua i atu i ate ia na o ia lava. Mena e muli mai e mose le tula fono. Po apo inga po upo se fulu. Wal tula fono e le vea mai tusi lima mose. E a mata ina. Awa le ifo se tupu ese. Ia, au le wala wina o Abraham e wala au o Abraham o le swafa. Va pena po ia Sarah. Ta sui uma ingoa ina uas fusfusia le whengainga mulmuliane i le matapu sulma lima, sulma fitu. I le osinga whengainga lea. Ai, ona o le nei vai teimi. O whawhitauli o lo tūla i mai i le whainga malo, le malo nei. O lo mātou no whai. Ia, ai mai se le tio. O le malo tangata whai mai. Tangata whai. E le ngata i lea o tau whanga o lo whai nei o sailinga o le president. Ia, e bea ana whai atu. I le manatua la tau vai o le tātou polokalama le necha wa fiafi. O le tua e malo, o le tūna tātou te whape ifo i o tātou loto. Ia, o le tua o filfilia e le tua e tau e veina le malo. Awa e le malo umani tū se lua. O le tūranga lana o iai wha moe i le neia fiafi. O le me pisile me tau tia i le se fuma le ola. O le tāpua i o tangata i atua se se. Me whai ana e nufa mwhaulo o tua. Whawhen whau o tangata le atua se se. O le mea wha mua le tangata i lona mawhau whau mo lona loto. Mo mea manao iai. O lona atua na. Langa uma na whapupua e su le tūla whono. Tau o tūla whono aulu. Ia mai se o nana popo inga i on so. Ia whape ai ma le tatalo. Na o Yesu on so. Tūla whono aulu. Ia alofo le tangata i le tua. Lona malosi atoa. Lona mawhau mea umo i ate ia. Ia mo moli ai mwhatino ai lona alofa i le tua i le ngata i an tapua inga. Ai tapua i atoa ma le malosi. Ona whapea fo i lea ona nofo mo lona tua oi. Ia alofa i lona tua oi e pei lava o ia i ate ia. Lona winga ia. Tātou te alofa i o tātou tua oi pei lava on tātou alofa tātou ia tātou. O lona winga walu i tawina i tātou ia tutusa o tātou tangata ma le tua oi. O ar tua oi. E leo le tua ivo, leo le tangata i o taftafa. Leo le tua oi o lo mana mia. Lau fiso swani ma lo ao la veai. Ia, ona mai lea i le apopo anga e sui on so. I o tau whea fandi. E ona ua lo whātu i ante o tau. Whiriwa e Yesu, ia mea tā ua leo langa. Ai fia mua muli. Ai fia tai tau tua. E ona mai leo taro leli. E o lava i o tātou fili. Tātou te whaamangalo atu i ate i lātou. Tātou te talo mo lātou. Le ta ui la lea. Ne mafua i o na wala au e le tua Abraham. Mo e amata i. Mo a fia whai a inga le tua estangata. ana te filifilia e a mata ina le whaata o tonga o le wha o le tanga o le lalo langi fau lea wa tua nai le lalo langi tuai ina ua mai a le lolo manoa a le ua mai ia aperamo ia o lea la whaata o to upu o le wha moe moe o le lumanai o le lalo langi fau o le wha o le tanga le tua e au ina ai ia tangata uma mena fili ai oina tupu mai ia aperamo ma tau nuu ai le wha moe moe a iei se sasi o le sasi lea ua le wha maoni o le ifo tupua ma la tau tosi pa vai loto o le la tau ngā luenga fola i le lau langi i le tua le tō tasi e pe ona wha ali a Abrahamo mai sa ako mai a kopo i o le tato mta upu nā ni tau afiafi i a la tua tuloa le avanoa i le tato whatonu ia i ni fisiri fo i e whalau tele e le mta upu
ia whaftai tei lau sunga ele whenga mora mta upu fo i o nei aso i o e wha taunu uina ai ia le tautua mani au nanga le tatu le tio ia ona u whafuasi ia fesu i inga au le mani elu te pue pue atu rau tala na turafun ia e alofa i o tua oi e pe o oe lava i ati oe ia a fua mai e pe e whamanatu mai ati au le atua na whaia oe ma uilo na whaatusa le ala ufia whaison a inga i le rarolangi o ana tangata na whai e whamanatu mai ati au le mele o lau sunga i le mele o le manatu whapito selfishness pe o ina lea na pa mua e ale ua i tangata e le o ta ua mai i le tusipa ia a mea o se soli tu la fono mo a la ua tiro tiro o le unua i soli tu la fono matu ia na tangata o le mea o le manatu whaamalie o na langona whaamalie le whaalongoanga a le tangata ua le popole ai i le tu la fono a ua le aia le la au le fua o le la au le ana ua ta o mai a Abraham ma tango fiera u whaarungononga tu i lau folasanga ma le amatanga o le vala awina fu i o Abraham e vala awina o Abraham e le o se tangata e peru po le saore
o le ia e pe o tusai ma le whaitau tuspa ia pe sau nā i uro Kaltaia Ur of Chaldeans ai e ave vai ele upo o tangata e peru Hebrew wa isina upo e ale leina vai tau malama il fa malama mai ona fenu mia ile tangata awa e mulmuliani ia ole o Josefa ma una uso mo la to ainga mo non tama ai kupito na alu wa bangalo upora tatu sa mo il falao ni tu lai mai fo ia wa ngalo ia te ia ai o te tonu si o pelo lengo antunu ia ai kupito ia o la to tangata tusi la to te fa mama wina ia tala o le malo lua e mo i mo tupu le nu i ai kupito ai to tele ai tangata ai kupito o lo tau fai fa o ngare to tele o tangata i saura elu e fau ai le malo ma fa polonga fa fifi e lo la le o somai o le upu le o tangata e peru ina o fai le tu la fono farao i whaato sanga i tina i e tōrua. A whanau mai o sitama. Whasioti. A whanau mai o sitene whaola. Ona whasiri lei na ua longo tala i e whalau. Ola alawa e le o whasiotia i tamtane e whaato sanga ami le whasiri ai. O maa fua i sea. I a tali i whaato sanga mai ia. E le tutusa le maa losi o whawhine ai kupito. Ma fine e peru e taunu watu na ua wa ola le tangata wa tuai ona taunu watu ole vai lo loto la ile vaunga ina e tinai ole ele ngata e whaamatala tua i le whalao lea le tua ngā tangata ia wa ia sa wai. Mo mea o tangata whewhe wai. Tai perua tō tangata whewhe wai, ma mo solo whai a lato la fumanu. A o tangata ia tele na osfa ia, ma lo te tele ma lato pule se. Lono winga lato te attackinga le, ma mea o le status quo, mo establish a kingdom. Wa o te ia o so mai i longa te tonu le tari a tinaia. Tari whai tau i o, ai mea lana e whamaisi, e erwa nuatu le upulea o Abrahamo le e Peru mai le tumala. E whaatau mo tangata whewai, ma mo solo, ma lātou la fumanu. Au tangata ia, lātou te luina le mea masandi ei le olanga. Mai le au sauia Abrahamo. Aru i lunga i peon vai atu le mele utawa nei o Iran. O yo Iraq. Ia sawele i lalo. Paual mean vai Abrahamo i le lawe ele o kanana wai tele tangata na iei. Mumua, le ia whaataua le whanua e whai ma whanua e lango ma wai. Le ngata ia o lone tō lua ma e tumbaria. Lua. O le whaatawina o le vai edi. La e vai me e lua. Le vai edi le na o ma temi Isu le na fisile fin Samaria ia Isu. O le vai elin tupu mai ai. Ia, la mai o mātou au ngā tama. Ina o tala nopo fen me sidi. So, o te autu whaina iai o le whaatata inga le o le soifua ma le ola. O le laro langi e pule ile tua. Ma me whewa i tangata, ma tūla whono e sai tia i tangata ina ia vea ma tangata o lea no fuanga ma lea no fuanga o whidiwhidia lea tangata e uia awala ina ia mausari iai no na wha moe i mei. Pea o la una ma ai iai. Wa na aru foi ai kupito. Tele ina ata mai de pelo toina na fai na pelo toina ona e ma fuanga. E fa pe foi i le tulanga o nofo o le lava on sai. Ia manatu ia toina ma Sara, mo le Sara. Ia mai a kara le una a Sarai. E su e se suli o le whamanuianga. Ia mun moriane tuli. Tuli le sinama lantama. O ailanza na wha na lave. O le tua. O le mea se ia peramo. E whaadi eina mea tonu a le tua. Pau le mea te loa. O le whamanuianga foi o Abrahamo o ta ua. O le tamao la whatutua. Langa o ia le na mua i wala au i le tua. O ia foi le wasa ili ma whalango i le leo le tasi o le tua le to tasi. E le whalango i ni leo ni atua sto tele. Lau e le Ellen Ferro e tele tua. Ale la vai whalango a peramo i le leo le tua le. Ia pe o le sosenetna.
O le mea sili na whainga tā moa urawa ia ma la utau sa ilia. O le wala au wina a peramo e le ala ua malama le lalulangi e alu. E alu le lopo whea iai. Ia e. A o le atua na te iloa le leila na au na tofi. A le pei e tofo a, le iei le atua pei e tofo le atua tangata. A o lana tangata na whai. E pei e whapena la ta tilo. A whai o le atua le tatu te tapua iei. A o le pei e tofo mai. A pero amo, ave le tama e osi e taulanga. Le ala ua ave. A o le fuilana tango atu i a pero amo e whatau nuu runa wana awina. I tamo isa ako. Ai to e vavao mai. O lau fesili la. E te hae whapea ai winga o le atua le tau te taritonu. E pei e tofo mai tato.
Ma na iru fesili. Wai le mwhaim tatou o e veta tatou ma atua. Pau le tua tatou te mamala mai o le tua sau ia tatou. Sau e whaali mai. Ma ngalue i mea ua. Le masani nil so i foma le ola o tangata. Pei voila Abrahamo. Pei o isia wala o lo tau wha matala mai a tātou. O le whātua tua Abrahamo. O le ustaia. Ustaia tu le lau le ele so i foma mai ai ma. Alu.
Le lopo whea iai.
Pe alu iai. Ai ustaia muli. Le voi ustaia e amatu le atari. e fai ai le tua o pe o le fa matala mai i o le tatou o le vala wina tatou i le tua e le ai e le fai ngofia i lave e i fai ngata ai le tula fo ina tatou e le tua wa o le tua na vala au i Abramo o le tau fo ina te tape na ina le rango Abramo i mea umo e fa le tonu ai e ama mea e Manuia ai wa e pe o le autu o le vala wina o le vala wina wa e tau o me pe fa fen vala au pe na o se miti pe o se angelu a reo mai o le tua mela na pe o na o to el misterio le vala au o le tua na o le tua e fain vala au tangata sau le ma fa o tangata ia tu la i lo ma pram malanga e pe o i le tatia ai le Manuia ia male po le tu pala po le wa ave ia Abramo wa ave il fala nginga o ia o le tama o le au fatu tu pe o le ustai le leo le na vala au ia ia pe o so ne tu na wa le fai na tato wo i le tu ta tu fi ma e sau le tu e fa ma ia tato me voi na sa wa Yesu sa fa ma mai le tu ia tato e pe voi la Abramo o le sau le tu i fi Abramo o Abramo ma fa ma mai o na winga i le pele o lana fofoanga ma le tangata le wa mata na fa wai le si a matanga fo ia pe so le tu
no winga na o le atua fo iala o le atua tofu e na te tofu ro tatu wola fa tu
a voi o winga na ta tu tangata le o sau le tu e winga ia o winga o fo ai tangata malangona o i e feilo ai o i e tala no ai e fai ngo fiona ma la mai le tau pe ana va o le start e mele o nga tongu i le bala wina o Abraham e le ngata na o le natura o le tangata e bala wina e fair wa le Abraham pe va tu pe o le siwinga na o le avelo e Peru e fair wa i mala fumanu ma solo i fale i se io in fa mautum fa mausali ia pe o se so ne atu na ala ta yala le tua si pe o le vala wino Abraham e fa no va pe atu o le misterio o me lilo jau le tua o le ufam tala mai le tala le ya Abraham wai le tau masina si le fiol tangata ma le tua na fa ia
Mani.
Ai le ba fai pe o le ala vai le mata ina le tua. Le vai na le o ai le tua i se ma le ngo le natura o ia na fai le tangata. Ai la ve ai le tua. Ia me fa pale na loa per amono na usta i tu lai mo sabati man. La eu ama le tua. Ai o ai i tu langa o le natura o le tangata na fai le tua. Wa ele tu ma mai le tu se maunga ma wala mai o le lava e ya ai pe o le so sonetu na e tali vai tau fisil
Yeah.
Well, Anna, am I still on tonight or no? Because Lisa called me. She wasn't available.
8 o'clock.
Yes.
Do you want me to,
Yeah.
do you guys want me to still come or no?
Yeah.
Ya o le marulu atu le fonga al tanto polo kalamba le neja wa via via ta ua le telefoni di sau o le suta vale mo le tofi fai pule o le ai tele i Carson no to tele sa mo lo papa au ma la lai o se mtati avo i le ausia mo mua ya mele va marulu atu ai
Yeah.
ale atas pese to foi mai se mapuane te isi ia ona te amata voi lea o le tato polo kalame tu sai voi o le mtaupu o le vala uina o Abramo ia a me se voi le nei vai tau vanga o tofi ese le nei atunu ia me se le tato o tunu voi sa moa ia a me se o tulanga o mtaupu e pe ona whengai mo le atunu o le Dream Act po le taka o lo sai tia ia nisi o nai whanau na mai o na haiti le malo nei ma a mata o na taumwhai a vea msitseni le proklama ni whaavain na le presidente o toa na yatu ia Obama ia olo ta oto ama whenumia i voi lea mata upo le malo nei ia ese mai whamai ma mea tele lava whawhita uli ora whengai ma i mātou i nei ai le mwhaitu la fo ia le talo le kefisiano ia le ai o lo seifua le tua ia e pei foi o le tala ia peramo la tatou toma spese ia foi mai lofa awau
Matango fie upo le pese.
Manuia le, o le anga le o pese, o pese a o langa ngana e le whailonga tangata, o le ngana le pese, o le ngana e tusa mai tangata, pe pese le tinga, pe pese le alofa, pe pese i moonga, pe pese le tua.
Yeah.
E tusa o tangata i wha mo le pese, longa winga le upol palangi o le mo le pese international on langa mission. Ele whaapito, ele pe mana iai ma to vai pese mana ia le tātou atunu.
Mana ia, o waru mawhauwhau Reverend i le tūlanga fu le masani tātou whasoa i ma nisi whura whaingarua. Langa pi o le itu tasi ele wa ai le tangata i le atua. Tau tēno uma o le atua alofa, o le atua le lei, o le atua siri ese. Ai hei fo i la winga na whaia le atua pei o lena e le te whaamtala nei winga i Aperamo. O le tangata o Aperamo. E whapewheo na tatou loa pei o i le au mai ele humanity o le a fo i o le atua i le tangata o Aperamo.
Wai, mana ia le fisili, ale me mua, ai le Italia, o le tāua wa tere i o mea tāua i tala, le wala weba, o le tasuinga o ingoa, o whaare tonu na tutupu, ai o le atua, e vei anu vai atu. O le wala una Aperamo wala usao mai lona a inga ma le mea na tupu ai, soifu ai,
Au lai fo ia le tua Aperamo le temina?
Ai, le whaare velave. O le teimi o le lalo langi nao na po. Ia o le tau wanga atua i sesi. Wa fele le atua i mawhau tangata. E leo manino le leina atua pe wa tātou. Wa tala nga fo tātou o tua i whaletanga loa. Ia, fele lava. Ia, lea pe wa tasi nei le taranga loa o suilon suafa ya Yesu le li Kariso fa pe vo ia on po le mela mana ye le bala un Aperamo o inada to te lo ai o saule to tangata la fe wa i mal tangata tal noa ma le tangata ina pe o le mena o le mai i Aperamo o saule to i lan tangata fa fe wa awa e inga ngana fa tus pa ia tātou te whalangi ele tua pa ia ma mawalunga ma mau ia on tau te whapewa o le tua sili o na lata mai le hewa mai pālangi o le transcendence ia ma le imminent le imminent o le tua o le ia le mawalunga fo ilono o le tātou wa ai la wa kevishan wa fitau i ma mea uma ia Isu o i la ia Aperamo o le o fitau i ai mea uma amtanga o le wa mata na fili fili ele tua le tangata i whaal mena e tātou te whalangia ai le tua Aperamo o le tua Aperamo ese mai a tua ese o lo tāpua i tangata a le tua i o Aperamo le au whai ngoa i Aperamo lo nā tua o le tua musau la tala noa ma lima taita ina lon soifua i mea whaingatā ma whaale tonu o na vai vainga ma mea le ai a le usitai o Aperamo i le leo le tua tasi le lai
mai le vao atua ia la ta uia whapea mai le vao fili o atua tele na iai le ala pia a mata mai i e le atua e si le papa i le tangata e si le wha o ngā tonu o le tangata wa le uma vai atu le lalangi tuai wa ta fia ese ia whanau kaino ma apena kaino tupunga mai i a kaino ta fia uma ese a te mulolo o mai lola i le ala la sau sila ma sau tangtanga i lau sunga i le whawhengainga tu sa marisoi o uina. O le ave sea mai o Aperamo mai lona ainga i tele mea, maua mea o le nuu i o mautu, mai le whapea fo i tele mauatua, e tapua i ainga o tua whatangata, o lona winga fōringa mai e muli filfilia i le alu ina i ave ese mai ina ia maua ni tangata la tu te talitonu e tasi le atua.
Ole pe ole mena e manino muli tu la fono.
Ia.
Pe ole mata tu la fono ina. Ole tu la fono le va tau ia mata mai Abrahamo. Vai na vese mai ne va pe ola le so Abrahamo e mo ka cigarettes. Mo me e tapo i tanga tai le tu mai si pa tau le euro papel e telea bataulia o taimi o lai tutu ia tala se io ne fa mau ai e tele mea o lai mo mai fa mau o me le tupu i ona vai tau ai tu lai mai le malo le o Abrahamo ai tu lai mai malo le o Israelu maua fausia la to malo i la wele ele na la to ia kanana ai o pe o mata mo fiena tala ia Abrahamo le ave se mai i le vau fili o le mau tua e fa longo le o tasi o le tua lea le o ua lona tua se i na manino le tala wai le faina wala na watu e le tua pero ambo i le mau lunga o lona mamaku o sau laro maru le tua sau e faina wai atu i upu o le humanity le o sa o le tua
o mana i o le upuna ua luifo ua tu ua lona no fuari e luifo o le whapea mai ia a talo whatu to tele tatu lo mafuta mai io e o leo lo whapea mai ia le i sunga ia tala fia ilo o le tuana ia tuina mai le filifilinga sa o loto i le tangata o te manatula e iai taimi e tofo mai ai le atua se isa ili po fea o ta oto ai le filifilinga sa o loto o le tangata po o ia po o ti Apollo.
Ya, ole Manuia le finangano awa ole pe o ina e famtala ile pa u ole wai fofoanga ma le iloa ole tena na ia tama eva o Sao Tonga. Ya a vai vo ila ti sauno mai pe fili le tua por ti Apollo. O visili ya o fela sa o ti Apollo o il fai. Pe vai ta tonu tasi ale le tua ia pe o se tali atu na
Manuia le te tauana manino tatou le amatanga mai o le sailinga o le oneness le o le langa o le na fili mai le vao atua o te whangain pere le fuilana iei tatou sa moa na moa tua ese e tua i le sami, e tua i le vao, tua i la au, tua i le manimonimo, tua i fetu, tua sose tua.
Tua i malai.
Ioe, mena reno whaingoa o le vao tua, le mau tua. Pela o i, o na tā ua la le tala i Abrahamo. Pio i le a mata me i le mea o le tōtasi, ili o le tua tōtasi.
Ia, ai sa wot fina ngalo nana e whaitaua mai. Awa sa o fina ngalonga ele ia vese le tua le sa o tonga le tangata e o martemine o la tu mau le mea lofa le o fofo ele mana o le tua e peita to ni masini na le o mia ia tatou o papel o la tu fai le tua e te latu ia te ia la filinga o e balie te mo a si le fai le tua tatou te le atoa le mea la na le matango fia la o lo walu le tua e te alu malo te tonu malo fa moe e te le atoa an mai lo le o o la me o fa ele tua wa mai mo tato o le lo fa tu no grace upon grace o ina e pe e fiu o tato fa le to
ia ai foi fa le tonu per amonato
io
te tua te tele ao per me fu le na luai o pe ua fe vale ile nu Io leo i poi nen fai fesilia fai o to fine ia pe o le ala a fa pera le tato tilo o le tua le ia bramo e te tari tonu o ni ia fuanga mai le tua me umaia po ni aitia mai le tua ia na go through ia pelam
ia e sia utali vai tau fesili o tali atu ele ai ai mama la male tu vai ngol tangata mai o no saule tu tangata o la si la fiele ele tu lan filinga tangata e vai la o ia na fai o tangata tu ia sa o tonga na pelo por amo re por amo che wa fa ina nu wa ile logic ile mafuanga la sila pia ile tu ale humanity la tu vai tu ya la ile o fa pe mai le tu wa pelo na fa ali le tu ile miti ile tu awa te tango final na fa sao yo so wa wina ale pe ile matango final na ole o tala.
Ia, o na leo o ta fia, tale balu. Ia, o lea la ta pese, o tau mata malo.
Ia, sui foi leo ta.
Ia, ai, mai mera sunga tala ia per amo. Ia, na leo ta mata malo, mona fia fa mon.
Ia, e pe o le fa mo na ta upu. O le vala wino a per amo. Vala au mai de mea o ye va o tua. E muli ile tua le na vala o to tashi o le melna na vai ngoa ya le tua pra mo le tua apram e mata lia apram na matai ya masara se te sui ngoa e ma fu anga te sui e ngoa ono fe ngainga ma me va pe ai le wa vese le tua na me alofa o le sa o tonga e fi tangata la tu mau ia e fa wa fo ile va yaso pe so polia le tātou ola molo o tau seifua e winga ile e whaftai atua ile whamanatu mai o le whinangalo le na mai runga le whilwhilinga sa loto o le tangata a whai tātou tatonu o mea umana whai e le tua lea o apera le tua le tautas ia le vea i marti apolo le anga a whapea mai na whai al ti apolo ia o lono winga wai se voi la le o le tua vo ti apolo a iai ma fuanga o mea uma vero vai tu le mana ole tua e avea tanto per upol palangi puppets no we have to dig deep in our soul and we have to choose
no winga le no fore tua ma le remote control o tangata
le le va penata tu ai pe yo se al ta pu Manuia wa sa o tangata i non finalo ia ai pe yo na sa no atu le fa tono le kalesia ma le ala le ia o tau nu le malo fala ni o nei tau fiafi ia sa voi stay na batu le se fam tranga i tu sai ia male nei a fine o le tunu wa mau nei le nei tu va ta si mai manto ia o le matati ai le au sia mo mo o me tu langa ia va mai to ina malo tu ia malo fa ia
malo sa i malo
malo fa ia i lo tunu e mita ma sa mo por sa mo fe sa mo tau vasi tangata whape i tūranga te tele whape. Ia, o loa sa, tele i loa pe ia sa mo more u tau wha i le mea. I le mea o Carson, le whape una tau wha i tiun mo mua. Au te lola o le fine lea po le tama whanau lea al tatu watinu o tau wha i. Tau wha misi po wena i le tau wha i se mea o Long Beach. Mo mea o
fisa
o vaenga o le city o Long Beach vai pena ia ai o Americanei ia a tal pesi ia se sumai ale tatou malo falongi ia e ta pena po ile tatou IT ia ni fatulanga ina o ma Mike's po o me fa le tele leo ia ile va ma falo
ai unga e pule o e na wafionga o olea le whaingata teu te fia teu te wilo tava no uanganga whamaualalo tu sape o tele mangalo Honey, you are so toy. If I Sapelu Beo te no fo ile asa Ute talia ino uanganga Be mai au mau au auna O se polonga mola ua fionga Ute talia male fia Aule tangata pisi-pisia Eo te ai ile fuefu Eo te inu mai le sapelu Eo te nofo ile asa O te talia ino uanganga E fai au, mau au auna O se polonga, mola ua fionga O te talia, male fia Au le tangata, pisi-pisia O lau ai unga E pule o e na wafionga O olea le whaingata Teu te fia teu te wilo tava No uanganga whamaualalo Tu sape o tele mangalo Honey o uasa Toy, if I
Ia o le awa toi tali mai le tato polokalama wha wau. Le wha moe sa la vasi ma fufuina. Le awa wha taunuina. Ia o le vi inga tu mauna i le tua. Upo le tato wa tunu. Ia o na wa uma o na wha whilo i atu. Le sunga i le wha tonu. Tūlanga masani o le tu morenga i whanua. O le wha whilo i le pa ia ma le malu o mwhai on fisotai mai. Molo o tau sila fia. Ia o le pe o na folfolantu. O se tasi nei o halo le tunu o Samoa. Mua tau mwhai au sia le nei wha moe o lo iai lo na suafa ia i le lisi o i la tau o lo tau wā whai pule o le ai tele Carson le si lea ai o lo o tele ai lotu na Samoa e le ngata i lea ai tele tangata Samoa mai sausi taimi an sau no ati fo i lea o le sui tau wā mo le wha moe ia i sona sila fia po le a le a whai o tangata Samoa i tono le ai o Carson tu sai ma le census lea muli o tangata i e whewai o tangata to tele e no nofo i o lātou whale, ia i lātou homeowners, ia le ngā te lea o members o Ekalesia Taitasi. So I tried my best to do the interview in English upon the request of our special guest tonight, so that it can bring transparency and clarity to the hope, to the vision, to the discernment, and the ambitions, why she ends up runs in a position of the mayor of Carson. Le tasta pes ali jo va ton we vai se fa felo inga pe ya la tat pes le va no file moi lo to awa mai mala to va fonga, just to put you at ease and also us at ease before we start our dialogue. Okay. Ole to atule abnoa, so given the opportunity, I'm very honored for this rare opportunity to be the person to interview Anna Meni as a person who now listed as one of the a qualified individual to compete for the position of the mayor of Carson. It is my way of thinking, according to our cultural etiquette, and that since I don't have the profile, we allow Miss Meni to introduce herself and say anything she wishes, in order for all of you to understand. So it is better for the transparency to come from her, not from me. This is my way of thinking. But it's a very honorable opportunity for myself. My English is not good because my first language is Samoan. English is my second language, but I try my best. I learned English in Samoa. I'm still struggling to learn the American English. So when I left the island, I already graduated from secondary school. That's what they call the junior college, secondary schools in the British system. But now independent Samoa have their own new educational system. So Ms. Meni, go ahead and introduce yourself to our crowds, or our Samoan folks who are supporting the radio, and also willing also to hear from you and to give you their full undivided attention and to support you, especially the residents of the city of Carson.
Thank you once again. My given name is Falea Ana Arieta Meni. I just go to Ana Meni for short. I am a lifelong Carson resident. My parents immigrated from Upolu, and my father's side of the family is from Safakoa and Makahupu in Lefanga, and my mother's side is from Lufi and also in Laulii and also Sapali'i. So very proud of where we're from. And also so my background with the city, I have been an employee with the city for over 24 years, and I'm a lifelong Carson resident. And currently I am the union president of ASME Local 809 City of Carson employees. So I represent the majority of city represented employees. And I've been in labor leadership since 2006. And I've also held a position, I just finished my term, on the ASME District Council 36, Executive Board Vice President for the South Bay area. That was south of the 105 freeway to Orange County border. It was 14 locals. And so ASME District Council 36 is one of the affiliates larger here in Southern California, and it covers from LA all the way to San Diego. And so we're subdivided in districts, so I was overseeing my local district. So I just finished that term, and also when I was also on my 2-year term, I also served as the chairperson for the Political Legislative Action Committee, which oversaw the endorsement process, interviews, anybody who was coming to the union. So we would vet the candidates, and we would make recommendations to the executive board at whole. So that's a little tidbit background. I've been constantly fighting with the city, fighting for the rights of our employees. And for those of you guys who are not familiar, Logo 809 City of Carson employees, a majority of the employees are also Carson residents. And those who don't live in Carson, we have about 20% of them, their immediate family members, are still in Carson. So our employees take it to heart what they do for the city because we live in this community. We're part of this community. So we're very vested in the well-being of our city. And what drove me to run is the fact that the decision making of our elected officials have been making bad decisions one after another. It becomes a financial impact against the city as an organization. And for those of you guys who don't understand the correlation of the financial aspect is the fact that when you have reduced funds means reduced services means reduced staffing. And then reduced staffing tends to equal to very angry residents and business owners. And so we've gotten to the point, I've been with the city for over 24 years, and the last 3 years have been the absolute worst in my time at the city. And it's gone because we have our elected officials who don't serve our community with a servant's heart. And so they've lost their way and forgotten their existence, our existence as a city organization is to serve the community. And so we've gotten to the point where they've become very self-serving, and we can't continue down this path of destruction. And it's time to change. And we have not had any outside elected mayor. It's always been a current elected official, a current councilman, councilwoman. But this will be, I believe, I'm the first true challenger to challenge the establishment. I'm running against the current mayor pro tem, and the current councilwoman, who are all running for the office of mayor. And so it's time to change. It's time to bring in new blood, and it's time for our people to actually be represented.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the very impressive profile. You have done a lot of good works for the city of Carson. So it sounds to me your platform is all about economic disparity, justice disparity, small business voice in the city of Carson. Your reaction?
Well, definitely, in order to benefit our residents and our community, we have to stabilize the infrastructure. No good planning would be any good if we don't have proper staffing and if we don't have proper financing. And so the city is at all ends with how they operate. And they've been, one decision after another, making bad decisions, hiring upper management that have no public sector experience. The rules and mandates that we as public sector employees differ from that of private sector. So there's a lot of regulations. It's check and balances to make sure that we're being good stewards. But when you hire individuals at upper level positions that don't understand that don't hold that dear, this is where we start to run into problems. This is why more problems happen at the local level, at city level, than you'll find at federal state, because there are more checks and balances in place.
Would you agree if I say that your platform is all about the infrastructure of the city and also the disparity of justice, and the decision-making process reveals all that vulnerability and that loopholes that the rich get richer in the city and the poor get poorer?
Not necessarily. The infrastructure is definitely one of my main points of the platform, but another part that's really bothersome to me is the lack of affordable housing in the city. If you're familiar with the current look of the city, there are many new housings that are being built,
Yes.
multi-unit. But most of those units, your average resident can't even afford it.
Yes.
On the low end, it's $2,000 for a small studio. Yes, starting at $2,000 a month. Affordable housing, if you make about $80,000 a year, which a lot of people think is very rich, you should be able to afford a very nice flat. But you can't, because they are earmarking, the city hasn't made a concerted effort to lure in developers to build affordable housing. The developers will not come and build unless there are incentives to come build, because they're going to be losing money. You have to give
Right.
that. And so we don't have an affordable housing, and there's a state mandate that you have to have
Yes.
various
City.
type of dwellings. Carson is behind on that, but all the new developments that are being built, they're priced out at high end that your average resident wouldn't be able to even afford to live there.
Well, it's good to hear that information is very vital to our community. Most of the community that are well established economically in the city of Carson are those who migrated during the 50s and 60s, all the way up to the 70s. Those are the people that are usually homeowners, and they are here to stay. And that's the reason why I pointed out that it appears to me that the infrastructure and the economic plan of the city of Carson geared towards the haves and neglected the grassroots, the have-nots.
Correct.
Because affordable housing is usually as working together with the federal programs to ensure those people at the grassroots of the community will have a place to stay. So is there any housing in the city of Carson at the meantime?
So one thing that, let me just clear up that people get mixed up is with low income housing. So there's assistance for low income, not for affordable housing. Affordable housing, those individuals are paying for it because they themselves have jobs that can financially support that. But I believe what you're referring to is the low income housing. So there are existing programs, but most of the low income housing has moved out. Most of the owners who did have, it was like Section 8 housing and everything, a lot of owners had sold their property or done away with that program. And also too, because Section 8 housing comes with such a stigma, and it's the same thing that people have the stigma with homelessness. They don't want to address the issue other than to tell them to break the encampments up, but not necessarily provide services or coordinate, because the county is usually the lead when it comes to homeless services and social services, but you as a city have to coordinate with the county. You have to have that working relationship. And so when you feel that, when entities feel that they don't have a problem, that just goes to show that's a problem in itself. They have this perceived image, and we have a councilwoman who has openly stated, comparing our city, everything they want is towards Beverly Hills. We're not Beverly Hills. I'm fine with how we are, but there's always room for improvement. Honestly, there's always room for improvement. Anyone who thinks that there's no room to improve, they're the problem, because we always need to better ourselves and make better community. But for the housing, we need to be able to apply and have affordable housing. The difference is we have to separate the numbers of senior housing from affordable housing. Just for argument's sake, if they say that 50 units is affordable housing, but then you find out 25 of those is specifically for seniors. So in theory, only 25 are available for the general public. So that is disingenuous, it's misleading to say you have 50 units of affordable housing available when there really isn't. It's geared towards seniors. And the city has not really pushed to make sure we have senior housing. Senior housing is very specific, the way it's built, the services provided and everything. The city hasn't made an effort of it. All they've done is on the few of the developments that were built, they had just required that a portion of the units would be available to the seniors, but they're not deemed official senior housings.
Well, thank you for the clarity of defining the difference between housing, affordable housing. So your vision and your hope is to fight for those low-income people because the housing price is too high for them to live in, especially middle-aged
Middle class, yeah.
couples. But because now you pointed out that the senior citizen already have their own category.
Yes.
And then the mass population
Correct.
of the younger people are neglected. So what is your hope and your vision for accomplishing that? Is it possible? Is it viable?
It is viable if you sit there and put that as your forefront vision plan so that the departments are planning accordingly. If the departments don't necessarily stress on what is the vision for the city, that is the problem. The problem with the city is they don't have vision, they're reactive. They don't, project, they are after the fact. And so, just to see how much of a wasteful time our city is, they spent almost 2 hours arguing where they sit at instead of dealing with our actual budget. And so it's a matter of focusing on the vision and making sure the departments know that this is the vision of the city. This is what our goal line is. This is 1 year out, 2 year out, 5 years out, whatever it is. so that the departments know to go out and start seeking, whether it's different programs through the county, the federal, try to get some funding source, and then come back to the city council and present viable options. This is why you have staff. We are the visionaries, the staff are the worker bees. So it's a matter of being realistic in your approach.
So it sounds to me that bureaucracy is the stumbling block sometimes in your dialogue within the city infrastructure.
Yes, it is. And what it is when you say about the have and have nots. So I'm one of the ones who has no problem being very vocal and standing against the city and calling a spade for spade. But basically, we're here to put on this earth, and if we're working at the city, we're supposed to do what's best for the residents, to do what's best for the community, not do what's best for ourselves. And that is why even with all the warnings of what would come at me for dare challenging them, I challenge them every council meeting. But now to take them on in this realm, we knew that there would be repercussions, but I knew that the overall, the goal is to better our community, and it's worth it.
Well, there is such a thing as a positive repercussions when you stand up for justice and do the right thing. You are representing the voiceless
Yes.
into the system. Those are the people that are neglected, and they're out in the periphery of the structure of the city of Carson. We're going to take a break.
Yes.
Yeah, I have so many questions for you.
Oh, no problem.
Because I'm educating myself at the same time
That's
by
awesome.
the tremendous knowledge that you have, within the system, and also the structure and the operation of the city of Carson.
Sounds good.
So I le lawa o fia fia Mana tua le o tio te talia O fungala awa teu teu ina Sa unia le vala au ya e talia ina Ua le ai se tuina nau Matala le tunga mau Lau tiu te ia longo mai Ia usa o atua A whai ua o le lango Nā taua tua iua o le alofa Ua o la mona ua tina Tango whaatasi pua puanga Elena o ita ua angasala E te sona moe aele ala Ua le ai se tuina nau Matala le tunga mau Lau tiu te ia longo mai Ia usa o atua A whai ua o le lango Nā taua tua iua o le tuina nau matala le tunga mau Lau tiu te alongo mai Ia usa atu ai Apai ua o le lango Na taua tuai ua o le alofa
Ia, ole pesena e avatu e asuasu o tuai malu I puenga. Ona ole tātou tofi tau wā mo le whaipule po le mei au Carson. E whiriwhiri ia le ngana ingilisi e whamatala ai tūlanga o le naunau e tau wā. Ia ma mea vo i e pei on whamatala atu e ia I le ngana ingilisi. Since she's very well articulated in English, that will meet the needs of the second generations in some families, third generation in some other families, fourth generation in most families, and fifth generations. So I do believe some families are all the way up to the fifth generation. And education starts at home. So a younger generation who choose to articulate themselves in the English language, they can share that knowledge with their parents so that they can continue to improve their knowledge of the city they live within. One of the major question for me to ask our special guest tonight is the infrastructure of the city, how the city is run, how the city is managed by its administration and financial administration and programs, how the city is divided into the different sections. So your reaction.
So, City of Carson, it's led by our elected officials. We have a total of 7 elected officials. It's led by one direct elected mayor and 4 direct elected city council members. We weren't always that structure. It wasn't until the early 90s when the city changed to be a direct elected mayor. Prior, the residents would elect 5 council members and they would decide among themselves who would be mayor every year. So for me, running for office would be the first female direct elected mayor. It's been all males since the early 90s. But so we have the mayor and city council. They are the lead of our governing entity. We also have the other 2 elected officials, our city clerk, who serves as the election official, and the official gatekeeper for the city's records. And we also have the city treasurer. So the city clerk and city treasurer are that of elected officials. But
Appointed or elected?
No, elected.
Okay.
They're elected by the people, but they operate full-fledged departments. So they operate like that of a director level. So within the city's organization, so the mayor and city council only hire 2 individuals. That is the city manager, who is the lead administrator for the whole city organization, and the city attorney, which we have a firm. Those are the 2 individuals that the city council is allowed to hire.
May I ask how many
Yes.
members of the city council?
We have as a body of 5, 1 mayor and 4 city council members.
And the people that selected by the mayor and the city councils, what position are those? Because the city clerks.
The city clerk and the city treasurer, they're also elected. They're standalone but we have a total of 7 elected officials.
Okay.
And we have the mayor, who's directly elected by the people, and then 4 council members.
Okay.
Within one of those council members, every year after election cycle, they decide amongst them who will be the mayor pro tem. It's like the vice mayor.
Right.
So it's a rotated, and it's not elected, it's just selected by them, the group of them, who will be the mayor pro tem.
Yeah.
So I'm running against the current mayor, the current mayor pro tem, and the current councilwoman. So
That's a great feat
Yeah.
and a big challenge. But, you have faith in yourself, in your prayers, and the blessing from your community. I do believe this country is a country of opportunities,
it sure is.
possibilities. Sky is the limit as long as your feet are on the ground.
Yes.
So I'm very glad to hear that. What about the dividing of the city, the geography of the city?
So the geography of the city, internally, the departments, we have the city manager, who is the head of the city organization. They're considered the top employee. And below them, they have 2 assistant city managers who oversee a grouping of each department. And then at the department level, we have a department head for each department. We have our public works department, which handles all of our street maintenance, grounds, everything you name it. We have our community services, which handles where our senior programs, recreation programs, and such, and transportation is under there. We also have the community development. That's where our business development side, any planning division, everything under that development, that's under community development. And I'm missing another community services, community development. And then the city manager, I know I'm missing one other department. We have a
Maintenance.
finance. We have a finance department, obviously, that handles all different aspects of the city for finance. So each of those departments are led by directors who follow directions by the city manager. City manager follows directions by the city council. So the city council sets the policies and vision, and it's the responsibility of the city manager to figure out and carry out that vision and
So-
report back.
So I hear that there are 2 levels of people serving the city of Carson. On the first level, put in there by the votes. of
Yes, they are elected
And
representatives.
then the council and the people that voted in will select other employees.
Only the city manager. They're only legally allowed to select the city manager and the city attorney. So those are the only 2 hires they have control over.
Okay, so the city manager, is that the Hispanic?
No, she's actually a Balongi woman who came from Irvine. So she's
Okay,
yeah.
that speaks volumes. I'm very thankful that you are hoping and aiming at serving the voiceless people in the community of Carson. But how the city is divided geographically? How many? Are there sections? Or?
It's not intended to be sections, but it ends up being like sections. So you have the north side of the city, which is part of the issue. What we feel is because 5 of our 7 elected officials live in the northern region, and they live within a mile and a half of each other. The reason why it's a bone of contention with us is because the north side looks like night and day from the rest of the
From
sides of
those,
the city.
yes.
So you can travel and be within our same city limits, but you feel like you're going into a different community. You go over, I live on the east side of the city. I live in the Patch area, which is the side of the city east of the 405 freeway, the residential area. It's sandwiched in between the industrial areas, the refineries, the manufacturing, warehousing, is all the residences in that area. It's called the Patch. And including when you go past Alameda, then you hit into the Dominguez area, which are Long Beach zip code, but they're actually part of the city of Carson. So we're kind of the no man's land, the forgotten land, which is why. And then even the south side of the city. You follow south of Carson Street, it literally starts to look like a completely different city. So when you talk about the haves and have-nots, that's part of the reason why they rise up from the residents, is because they've gotten fed up with being ignored and not being considered equally across the way. So north side, really nice, well taken care of. They feel it's not. But in comparison to the rest of the city in the town, where, I tell people, no, wear proper shoes if you're going to walk on the roads, or else you're going to trip and roll your ankle.
So I hear that there is also a disparity in the representatives of the whole city of Carson, because there's a concentration of representatives from one area.
Correct.
and less in another area. So your hope is to bring balance, or bring justice into this imbalance representation of the community in a city of Carson. Very deep knowledge of this magnitude that needs to be given to the community in general, because most of us are living in certain city, but we really don't study how the city operates, the infrastructure.
Part of our responsibility as a public entity is to engage the public, but the city doesn't consider that as a necessity, nor do they consider that a priority, because it's quite easy to operate when nobody is harping on you. So it's a matter of saying they say we're being transparent, but they really aren't. They don't want to educate the public, because if you educate the public, therefore the public can come and hold our officials accountable. When I first started at the city, there were a lot of seniors that, like all this knowledge I got is because I grew up being surrounded by people who had so much knowledge, and they said, we're not always going to be here. You need to pay attention. You need to learn. You need to understand why we do the things the way we do. And there's always going to be a new way, but you're not going to be able to move forward if you don't know why we did the things we did. So, but when we talk about improvement and knowledge and stuff, that's purposely done by design, so that they do not have residents holding our officials accountable.
That's not a very good design.
But it works in their favor.
Right.
It works in their favor.
Not to be cliche, we say that knowledge
It's power.
sets you free.
Yes.
It's the power.
It is.
Change things. So I'm very glad about your platform and your hope to bring justice into the whole system.
Oh, it's not a hope, it's a plan.
It's a plan.
A hope is just a dream. So no, I'm a labor girl. We plan, we organize, and you figure out a course of action so that when given the opportunity, you implement. So that's how we do.
What I mean by hope, when the plan is fulfilled and manifested by you electing to the position, then that's where the hope is at, behind that. That's what I mean. But I'm speaking as if I say out there, not as a politician. So
I'm not a politician. I'm just a public servant.
So it sounds to me that you might look into educating our community by certain forum, certain gathering, maybe within the church, because as a pastor of a local community, most 78% of my church community resides in the city of Compton. So when I asked Lisa to interview you, it's for the same purpose, by intent.
And we will interview together.
Because she's so busy also.
Yeah.
But I was worried that that you may cancel the plan. But I'm very thankful that you obligated to continue this interview. And I think there are more beneficial to the community that will come out of you and your vision and what you try to accomplish, not only for the Samoan people, but all those people at the grassroots have been run over by the system, that you try to bring their voice into the table, because most of these people don't have the understanding, and when the people are living in the dark, it makes things easy politically for those who are running the city.
Yes.
So I'm very thankful on that. And since you articulate yourself very well in English, so your message will be, will not be limited to our own people, but you're going to become an inclusive voice of the grassroots of the city of Carson.
It's our responsibility to look out for everybody, not just for those who voice their concerns or opinions. And so that's what, like even in labor, you fight for the voiceless. That's our job.
Well, I'm asking the director of the program to play another music while we take a little break.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Look,
Ia, e matua le whamalo, ma le whaftai, i le maupale, ia ma le on-site, o la au tau whita whafonga i tu sai fo i malutala noanga, ma se tasi o awhine o le tunu. Tai mua lea ua tau ai, se awhine o Samoa. Ia, i le tau wanga ma walunga i tono le aio Carson, ia i le tofi, o le meia, ia te le awa enga, ai tua te pea ia te ia na te wha mala maina. Mafuanga wa lai ona tamoe. So I would give you the opportunity to further explain your hope, your vision, your discernment, and your plan and your platform in order to enhance not only the understanding of our people, but to gain the knowledge in order to participate fully in the political arena, especially in the city of Carson. Your reaction?
Well, one of the things that I've touched on, and I know I've touched on it quite a few times, is about the lack of transparency. In order for our residents to have an understanding of what we do as a community and what we offer to the community, we have to be transparent. And the city doesn't take that lightly and doesn't very open about that. And that's a disservice to our residents. And one of the questions that you asked earlier is, what was it that moved me to run? It was actually, the city was slapped with, a few months ago, back in May, an $80 million lawsuit for breach of contract and negligence regarding a big development, the 157 acres right off of the 405 freeway where the stadium was supposed to go to. It's a big development. It's ground that's supposed to be remediated. Well, the city made quite a few mistakes with it, and it came out to light once the lawsuit was actually filed. And so when I got that, it was another example of another situation where our officials have put us into, where it's going to be balanced off of the backs of the hard workers who had nothing to do with us. And once again, I feared. I said, I have many years here at the city, but if the city continues on this path, continues to put ourselves in this type of situation, we're going to go to layoffs. We're going to go to layoffs. How can I, in good conscience, not try to fight? I go, we have to change our elected officials. They become complacent. Our officials have become complacent because our residents, it's only the few handful, I can count on one hand, that dare publicly challenge our elected officials to do the right thing. And so with this COVID lockdown, it's even gotten worse because they purposely do not allow residents to call in. You're not able to call in to the council meetings at all. Every public entity allows the same thing as in person. You get to be able to speak for 3 minutes. No, they do not allow residents to call in. You can only write in or leave a message and they will transcribe it. So that in itself is a lack of transparency. You don't have an opportunity to challenge the city, and I cannot wait until the day that we have public city council meetings again, because I call our elected officials keyboard warriors. Say what they want to say because there is nobody in front of them holding them accountable. They would not have the courage to say what they've been saying the last few months if we were right there inside the council chambers. We hold our officials accountable. Our elected officials, they lack of transparency. Let me give you an example. Our council meetings start at 5 o'clock, and they will go on. The latest council meeting I've ever attended, I think it ended at 4 in the morning, 5, because they had the budget on there. They were making important decisions for our city in the middle of the night when there was like only 2 of us or 1 of us in the audience, and I don't know how many people were online. This is what they do. They wear it out, prolong everything in the beginning part of the council meeting. People start to leave. They start to leave, and when it gets to the item that they came for, nobody's there to challenge them. And so this is the problem if getting it back on track, but also to even more so putting the craziness of the city council aside, is actually being true public servants. We as public servants should be serving our community with a servant's heart, and these people have lost their ways. They have become more preoccupied in finding buildings and rooms to try to put their names on than it is servicing the community. And it shows by the fact of our streets not being paved properly, sidewalks not paved, having lawsuits left and right. This is out of negligence of our elected officials, and they just keep hiding it. But we as employees feel that because it's therefore taken off of our backs in cuts. And the reason why, let me explain to you guys the correlation, is when you have a reduction in the workforce, the work does not go away. So therefore, that work is compounded on those who are left. And what it's doing is driving people out of the city in droves. We've had about 30 full-timers leave the city since April of last year. That is unprecedented to have. We have people that didn't even bother to stay for the probation. As soon as after serving a week at the city, they already turn around and start looking for jobs elsewhere. This is not good because we're not going to be able to sustain workers. I'm considered a veteran employee. That's sad because in my eyes, veteran employees were here from when the city was incorporated in 1968. And so what happens is the actions of our elected officials dominoes into the type of businesses that come to the city. Businesses, our reputation, a bad reputation our city has a ripple effect. Businesses don't want to come to our city even though we have the money. We have the people to buy from their products and services. Why? Because our city is so chaotic. We have to change the public perception of our elected officials because then it's a domino effect. We also have candidates who apply for positions who rescind their applications because they find out what kind of city we have and what's running and what you ask around. People don't want to be associated with that. We have a hard time engaging the general public for being commissioners on any of our commissions and committees because they don't want their name associated with the craziness of the city, and it starts with our elected officials. This is what I was explaining to why we need to break them up. We need to shake it up because it's a ripple effect. We change the setup of our elected officials, there go, and we start riding that ship, and it'll be a ripple effect. I said the general public doesn't see the problems that we have. There's a reason why we have vacancies that keep reopening.
So it sounds to me that you try to shine the light into darkness,
Yes.
and all this secrecy strategy within the city or the people that runs the city of Carson. Complacency is the same thing as complicit.
Yes.
It's immoral. But I'm glad that you rise to the occasion and try to bring some clarity and transparency into the inner core of the city that managing its finance and its operation, so that everybody can be benefited and everybody can be educated, because again, not to be cliche, but education sets you free. So I'm very glad that you received the calling to run, to rise to the occasion, so that the voiceless people can have a voice at the table.
Yes.
Because they try to keep things secret. That cannot stand forever because it's injustice. And we believe in a system of justice. I'm glad also to hear that the using of the word veterans within the city pointed to the charter members when the city was incorporated. Again, the reason why I'm asking a certain question, not only for the knowledge of our community at large, but also for my own sound, so that I can talk to my community with the proper information, not a misleading information. So very happy and very blessed to be here with you tonight. So
Thank you for having me.
yeah,
But
You are very welcome.
you're more than welcome to give my telephone number to your members. And one of the things that, people, they don't want to ask in front of other people. That's not a problem. Give me a call.
well, that seems to be the nature of our own culture. But
Yes.
You young people, born and raised in this country, and with this culture. When I say this culture, is a multicultural, multilingual culture. We have to be inclusive in our approach to any aspect of life, whether it's political or religion. We have to be inclusive because we only serve one creator for us all. And not only that, we're in a different era. we are, the pandemic kind of pointed us towards the technology
Yes.
as a way to enhance information and knowledge. So, what do you think about reaching the community by implementing the technologies such as Zoom, so people can get on and ask their own question while you were presenting all this detail of the city, so that they may receive proper understanding of how the city of Carson runs and operates. Not only that, anybody that runs for this kind of position needs some financial assistance.
Yes.
And, whatever individual can contribute, you're not forcing people, but whoever deep in their hearts want to contribute, they are welcome to do so. Can you address that?
So we actually have they're literally putting up my social media pages right now, the information, but it's actually on Facebook and Instagram as Meni for Mayor, and that's MENI, the number 4 Mayor, and also too there'll be on the bio link the website where you can actually go and give a contribution. I made sure of the firm that I'm with, you can donate via check over internet or credit card or PayPal. And if not, if you want to mail in your check or payment, when you click on the link, the address on the bottom, it's in Inglewood. That's where the firm is. But you can contribute. And, for those of you who are really with the vision of what I have for our city, I welcome you. And I'd love for you to guys come on. And contributions in Carson, there are no limits. We have no campaign restrictions in Carson. So you can donate to your heart's desire. So as long as you're a U.S. citizen or a U.S. resident or a business, you can contribute. So there's the different questions that it asks of you, whether or not you're employed or not, retired, entitled. It's because it's required by the law that we identify who the contributions are for.
We can put up all those information on our radio.
Yes, we can.
About your phone number, about your website, how to connect with you. We can put that up voluntarily on your behalf. What's my other question is that a permanent residence in the city of Carson is legally eligible to run for this kind of position. Yes or no?
No. So what it is you must be a registered voter of the area. So for the seat I'm running for is mayor, it's at large. So as long as you're a registered voter, there's a certain amount of days prior to the opening of nomination time.
Okay.
So,
That's a very important information.
About Genji and the civics and explain to people about how it works in their areas. I still can't get over the thought of me being the first Samoan elected in the state of California at a city level position. Samoans have been here for decades, yet we're not represented. So this blows my mind.
That's a very important piece of information to continue in that vein. It sounds to me is very crucial for the residents of Carson to have a voting plan to ensure that they are all registered voters.
Yes.
And go out and vote, not just to register, but to vote.
So
in order to have a representatives of our people in the city of Carson.
And one of the things I have found in the last week is we have so many of our residents, even our people, older generation, who would vote with one of our other elected officials just because they attended an event for them, but know nothing about the candidates. They have no idea the kind of things that these individuals have done. And so part of that, the problem is trying to breach that and get people to try to get to know these individuals, to see if they're worthy of their vote. I tell people, don't give me your vote just because you're giving it to me. I want it because I earned it. But part of the problem is our people don't make the effort to learn about the candidates. They look at the name and they say, I voted for them before, so I'm going to vote again. That's part of the problem. To be an informed voter, it's one thing to be a voter. It's another thing to be an informed voter.
So that's a reason why it's very important when you try to address the area of transparency and accountability of all the official people that runs the city of Carson. So to educate our people, maybe we can use Zoom and give out the ID number and the password, so the residents of Carson, Samoan or non-Samoan, can join in and listen to the information that you have. They are very important information, again, to enhance the knowledge and understanding of the place you live in. So when you vote with your understanding, not because this person has done this and that, without really know the accountability and transparency of what they're doing in the city of Carson. You can continue on, address certain areas that you do believe is crucial and vital and viable to our community.
One of the things is it's a constant complaint from community is the lack of diversity in the programs that we offer. But part of that problem the residents don't understand is our elected officials feel that there's no need to change things. We're very stagnant in the programs that we offer at the city. My members, they're the ones who staff everything across the city, are more than able to really branch out, really be aggressive in the programs and services we provide, but they're not given the green light. And so one of the things is also to reevaluating the different contracts the city has for different services, where we're basically dumping a lot of money, but we're not getting our money's worth. That's money that's being stripped away that we could be providing for our senior programs or increasing for the youth programs, help offsetting costs, things like that. This is where the correlation where I keep going back to the money, because we as employees see it all the time, the amount of waste and the fact that they don't listen to the people who put on these programs so we can fit to improve it or expand it, but because our officials are very fixated. So one of the things is really reevaluating, but also too, we need to bring that community vibe back to the city. When I first started working for the city, we had a lot of different organizations that would take part on different programs. They would take ownership of it. And their groups of people would do this facet. Another group would take care of this facet. And we would come together as a group. We've kind of lost that because our elected officials have become very power hungry and taken over. Part of us doing that, it's not because we as a city can do it, but that was a way of engaging with our community. And I really want to bring that back, that facet back where the city is the secondary. We may be the one coordinating, but we use that as an opportunity to bring our different groups of people together. We've lost that feel of community, and I feel we really have to do that. And I feel as we as Samoans, we're naturally set up for this. We gather, we come hell or high water, hate us, love us, or whatever. We know how to gather. We know how to organize our families, our groups of different groups. And I was asked the question, how can you deal with different ethnic groups? I go, I'm Samoan. I could turn and look at my relatives and see all the different ethnic groups. That doesn't play into how we treat people. What plays is the kind of person that they are. So I want to bring our upbringing and how we do gather, and we need to transcend it to how we refocus our community, because we've lost that small town feel, and we need to bring that back.
So it sounds to me that that what you learn from our communities naturally have the gift of organizing,
Yes.
have the gift of managing themselves. So the community needs to be reminded about our civil responsibility, meaning vote. Not
Yes.
only that, in order to take ownership of the city, because the city belongs to them.
Correct.
It doesn't belong to the people that
Yes.
voted to run the city. So we need to remind the reversal of the equation. What should become first is the residents, because they're the one that owns the city.
Yes.
Not the people that runs the city. So those kind of information is crucial. So fiduciary is another important area in the city and its operation. Well, thank you so much for all these many important information. Again, I keep using the way to enhance, because I do believe, not to be cliche, but education
Yes.
will set you free.
I truly believe that too. Knowledge is power, and no
Okay.
one can take that away from you.
So let's take a break and we'll come back and continue our conversation.
Sounds good.
televu matala wa Italiana. Solo ilo vale maputanga aoe maita. O elo maye belong ale mapupo to feel my foot to my olo belly low. Tina wa vai vai belong ale fia vai to let my nong is to me. Solo pe amanatu ile mafutanga ilata ufengaina lelo fawa lengangana telela va bolonga ilo alofa fia mapuile tu inana usilile ilo leola. O elo maye belong ale mapupo to feel my foot to my olo belly low. Tina wa vai vai belong ale fia vai to let my nong is to me. O elo maye belong ale mapupo to feel my foot to my olo belly low. Tina wa vai vai belong ale fia vai to let my nong is to me.
Fatalo fatu ma whaawheloa i le pa ia mawalunga si o tātou atunu o Samoa. Le fo i maua le nei awanoa o tātou toe whetapa iai i lungo le ea. Ia vi ia le lii me si sili. Le fo i o tātou aulia ma le Manuia. Le amatanga o tiute ma whaiva o le nei vai aso. Ia lo mai o le nisi le nei o whaapoponga o tātou tala mai Samoa. E tumu atu o tātou tala o le so le wa mata whaatino ai. Le palo tala i titi a le tu malo o nganga i whamonga numele tolu. O le songa fua le nei la sulus fulma le whao au kuso. E a mata ai whai ngā pālota whaapitoa i le maota ngase i moto tua tua sivi o le maota o tangata mātutua i mapu i whangalele. Whapea i fo i male ofisa au tu o whai ngā pālota i savalalo mo i lātou o pensione. Tangata mamai whapea i fo i mai lātou ele ato o toa le malosi o tangata whai ngā luenga whaapitoa i ai le ofisa o le vai. Ofisa o le whaalaputonga o le eletise i Samoa. Fale mai, whapea ima le matanga luenga o leo leo. Au le asfarele leo ua atofa o le vai aso nei la suluas fulma le valu o au kuso. E whaatino ina ai le pālota la ititi. Ito tonu o le tu malo wha pālota. Nganga i fumaunga numela tolu. Ma o le asa ili ai se sui usifono. O le nei tu malo, ma ia i la ua o la uli o le mali e tole ua tea polita i vau fosi smit. O le tai o le vanga wha upufai e le fast. Po le whaatuatua i le tua o Samoa o tasi. Whapea i fo i male sui toto o tasi. Le fionga whaola sau simi laulua. O nisi o tala o le whai ungo le vai aso na li putia mai ai le awhia i o le mota. O se tasi o lo ia si nia i le atunu. Le jina ia una sa iuni sa polu i se malaia. O le nei wha lave na tula i mai petu so le te o le se fulu i le poles farele na se ima vai atunei. O le vave o ngā luenga fisosoani le meta ngā luenga o le tine mu na lea awhia o mai le mota o nasa i le malaia. Whaalia inisi o le aingo sa polu o le nei wha lave o lo masalomia na whaia se tangata. Ma o le mai ai la o le whanutanga a le vanga whai i lea lava po le Samoa First Party. Ai tūla i mai loa ma lea wha lave. E le i fia whaalia se fia ngalo o le fionga o nasa ile nei fa lave ma o lo fa wa pela ye su enga ale matanga luenga o leo ile mafu anga o le malaya fa pe fo i manga luenga fa mai a ale ofisa o tine mu o le susunga ia vai tasi asiata wali patia mai le maliwa ia o ngalue i ngā luenga fa vai temi i to tonu o New Zealand e tu sai mali poti o se fa lave tau ta vale i Mount Manganui i New Zealand na moe le ave ta vale na mafu ai le nei fa lave ua fa Manuia mai nei la e le sui o le matanga luenga o pisinisi ala Manuia maleipa i tutono New Zealand le fionga le malu nele le lua o lo tau fi ai nisi e to fa i le fale mai e mafu mai lava i le nei fa lave sa noa le malu o i lato uma nei e to lima sa ngā lulu e whaatasi ai o le mana vai o lato ngā luenga na malanga mai e loa matupu ai le fa lave ele i mauti noa la se aso e awina mai ele tinu maliu o vaitasi i sa monei. O nisi o tala, silia i se lau tolu sifulu ma le afe ta la, le taua o fai o le mauta fau o le faa whengainga, o le afio anga o lano, i le motu tele i sa la fai, na faa pa iaina ma umu sa ina, i le fai unga o le vaiaso. O le susunga i le ti akono, to mau Iosefo, na ia faa wheteia le ngā luenga fai taulanga, ma le faa longolongo ti ngā o tangata lotu o lana mata ngā luenga o lano. Ua tu ai nei le fai la o le maota o le whaafengainga, ma o se ngā luenga na tangi lava i lima lona whaatinoinga. Na sau noa le whiti a kono ma whaafetai, ona o le ai lea o se eita lafu le nei ngā luenga, ma na ia vi ia e foi le lofa, le whaatua o ia o le tātou tapa au sili le langi, e ala le iso o se tasi lava na alo lofa mai o whenga iele e kāle sia, ma le nei ngā luenga whaingatā. Na ia whaafetai e foi alo mo tama whanau, a le fio anga o lano, o loo au mau i antunu i fafo, whaapea e fo i maso se tafa o Samoa. Sa tongi maa, le ua mai ai Manuia, le wha moe o le maota o le whaafengainga. Sa awai uma iai, ia sui e pikupo, whaapea e fo i mala uosi taulanga, ia fionga i ali i pātele, o le nei matanga luenga o lano, i le nei sa uninga i le wha i unga, o le vai aso na se i mawai atu nei. O nisi o tala o loo wha ngā solo pesu usu e ngā leo, i se li poti mai le maota ngase i moto o tua, i se tene titi se fulu whātau sanga le matua, na li potia mai ua lua vai aso talu o na whānau ila na pepe. O loo iai māsaru salonga, o se isi lava o lona a inga, na whaia nei winga mātanga i le nei tene titi. Wha Manuia mai el komisina o leo, i le isi o mōlia i le nei mata aupu pe tai. Sa li potia mai ma whaafso o tai mai, ele to manga mo e pua ngā tia le Samoa Victim Support e tu sai la mali poti sa fa tope mai le nei teine titi mai le maota ngase i tua sivi i moto tua mo nisi o tongo fitinga a o le pepe o le wailalo o le tausinga le to manga mo e pua ngā tia fa ali el komisina a fai e fa Manuia o se tasi o le aingo le nei teine titi na fai nei winga matanga o le amo lia loa i le whainga o winga wha malosi ma winga matanga i le nei teine titi ma e ono mo lia foi i le mata i fale fa ali el presidente o le to manga mo e pua ngā tia le fionga si uniu lina jang e langona lava le wha no i le wha tupula ia mai pea o nei sa wanga o le whaia leo winga matanga i whanau teine ma ua te tau lava o na tau fia, ma whaia i eise fufuanga le tātou malo, e wha malo si ai le tau fia, o le sa sao wha afi o nei sa wanga, i to tonu a inga. E o mai lai le temi nei o lo wha awau pesu su enga leo, e tu sa ima le nei mata upu. O nisi o tala o le tai ona le lana la wina ai le wha ai unga, o le sa avea mapule a onga o le kolisi o whaleata, le susunga i a Tanuvasa Michael Gray, na mōlia i mōlianga o le whaia leo ni winga mātanga, fitu. Pe ta ila o le so u fa lea ngai na o mai mo lianga e le fa masinonga. Ma ua solo fua e le nei mata upu. Fa lia le lo ia lo tu lai mo Tanuvasa le susunga ya Alex Sua o le talo sanga le tua leo e toe fa ui tua nei mo lianga e fa sanga ya Tanuvasa na mafu ai le unga i le so ua solo fua u mai nei mo lianga fa sanga ya Tanuvasa. Ele i mo wala se felo inga telefou ma le official leo e tu sai ma le mafuanga pe aisia o talo sanga ina i le whamasinonga e whaui tua molianga a o lea wasilia ma le lua tausanga o tā lia le whai unga o le nei mata upu. I nisio mata upu whape nei sa tula i mai le whamasinonga e mafua lava o na whaui tua nisio molianga o na ole le lava o moli mau ale matanga luenga o leo po o le foi ona fai sa i linga ale ofisa o leo Risi o tala lava mai le whaamasinonga o le so fo i le ua matai nai tō laulonga o le whaamasinonga o i lātou ia na ngā lulua i le Samoa Sports Lotto. Po o le ofisa o le pitpitinga o Samoa. E tō iwa i lātou na tūtū la i lumo le whaamasinonga i le so sa ngā lulua i le Samoa Sports Lotto e tali o lātou mōlianga o le ngoi au aveai matangata whai ngā luenga. O le asofitu lao le masina fou, o toe tolo i aile nei mata upu, e le fionga i le whamasino seli, le fionga sātui si mativa perese. O le avanoa fo i le nei, e tui nā atu ia i lātou o mōlia, e sa ili aini o lātou lo ia. Ma maua e fo i mani o lātou tali, i mōlianga e whaasanga ia i lātou. O nisi o tala, ua toe sola le au taitou fitu, a le taula All Stars, mai le uni laka pia, ma le sempini, o le tamili sanga taitou fitu, a le uni laka pia sa moa lelo wha ngā sauna nei. I lona vai lona tolu, i le vai ungo le vai aso taluai. Sa su e fusi ai le All Stars, ma le au malosi mai le fio ango laulii, le Manuia laulii Lions. O semifinals na malolo ai te patasi mai ale i pata, ia All Stars. Malolo ta mauli mai sa le lolonga, i le isi semifinals, ia laulii Lions. O le tamisanga i le whaai ungo le vai aso, na vai ai le lei, o le tau mawhai ngā nesio kalapu, na au si ai le valu pito i lunga po quarter finals. O le ipu au tū, le iai le Rosalote, lupe si liva mai sa papalii, ma le au taito fitu o le Storm, mai le fio anga o fale wha. O se la sanga lea na matua wha fie nai, le susunga i leli i whai aonga o le tātou taito fitu o Samoa, le fio ngai amuli anga Brian Lima. Ona o le malosi o le whinau mai, a kalapu ese i totonu o le atunu, i le nei lamata milisanga. O lo o mata i tūpe le sunga i leli i whai aonga, le whai unga o le vai muli o le nei ta milisanga, o i tonu foi, o le a wha pe nao na fili mai ai se tātou au malosi, a wā, le sauni atu i ta milisanga wha wao malo, i le lumanai. O la whai o toi fo i mo tātou tala manui tele tāpo inga Samoa wha soi fo ia, ma ia Manuia.
Ia, o tala nā mai lau tātou atunu o Samoa, na tuina mai, e pe on tau whaafonga. Au tau tali mai le proklama i tusai mal tātou mālo whaalo alungia, e le sealo Samoa, tamaitai, ia ana Meni. O le hoi la tau atu la whanua, tasi o me te ngalo i tangata e no nofo i Amerika. Po tangata fo i nofo i le aio Carson. O le tūranga mawalunga, o le pālota, il whangaina o le ngana Englisi, it is a civil, a duty for any residents of the city of Carson to vote, because they are the one that owns the city. They have to take ownership of the city. If you don't vote, that means you're not fulfilling your civil obligations. According to the foundation of the city of Carson. So we'll give this opportunity to our special guest to continue to articulate himself and explaining all these important areas of being a resident within the city of Carson as a Samoan also.
Well, one of the things we'll touch base on about voter registration. For those of you guys who are not familiar with, Governor Newsom signed an executive order changing how elections will be run. So November election will be the first election where every single voter will get a mail-in ballot. Whether or not you apply for it, it will automatically be mailed. I believe the mail is going to be dropping October 5th. So it's very important for everybody to make sure that, one, you're registered to vote. If for those of you, the address in LA County, the website is www.lavote.net. That is the County of Los Angeles County Registrar's Office website. They are also our elections official. So if you are not registered to vote at your current address, you need to do so. You can do that online. Also, too, if you want to check your voter registration, you and see to make sure that you're registered properly, because there have been a little mix-up of what's the difference between your mailing address and what your registered address. So, for example, you be registered in Carson, but you have your mailing address for your mail to go to, say, your job in Timbuktu. And what people don't realize is that they think that their Timbuktu address is their registered address. No, it's not. So it's very important. The same link where you can go and double check and actually to register to vote, you can also double check your voter registration. So it is very important. You should have gotten a like a triplex postcard that was mailed out by the county registrar's office. It was mailed to every single voter about a month or so ago. And if you wanted to make changes, you could make changes on it and drop it back in. They are actively making those updates. And the reason being is because everybody would get a ballot. And for those of you guys who are not familiar, you need to look out and watch for it and to make sure you get your physical ballot, whether or not you go vote in person. Voting, getting the ballot, you still will go to your voting centers. In LA County, they don't have polling centers anymore. They call these voting centers. They consolidated them. So your typical polling place is no longer. You can go and we also have 10 days early voting in LA County. And so you can go vote 10 days early. So you have the one option, which everybody by default would get, is your ballot mailed to your home. It's very important you get that and make sure you hold on to it, because if someone else gets that and votes for you, therefore you're not going to be able to vote. So get that ballot, hold on to it, whether or not you're going to use it. Make sure you have it, possession of it, or you can go into a polling center and vote early anywhere in LA County. You don't have to go to your area. The LA County website will have identify the places that would be open for early voting. So 10 days prior to November 3rd, you'll be able to vote. And also too, on November 3rd, you go and vote. I personally am one of the type of people that go and vote on election day, because there might be measures or different people. I'm not sure who I want to go vote on. But if there's anybody I want to make sure you guys vote for, is vote for me. And so my name will appear first on the ballot for the mayor.
For the city of Carson.
For the city of Carson. So the random alphabet, the Secretary of State's office of the state does a random alphabet, and that's how they decide the order of the letters. So it's not your traditional A through Z. It's whatever the random. So luckily, in my favor, my name came up. And also, too, there's a provision here in the state of California that the local race appears on the top of the ballot. Because one of the problems that we
started from the local, the
Yes.
city to
Yes.
the counties to the state
Right.
to the federal.
Right. So before it used to be the reverse. The highest seat first,
federal, yeah.
a federal first, then the
County
state,
takes
then the
county,
counties,
then
then
the
the cities. And so there was issues where people charged that we were being lost in the shuffle, which was true. People get tired of reading down the ballot, and they're only going to vote on the local race. And
So we're doing the reverse this year.
Yes, so it's been like
bottom
that.
up, so.
It's been like that for a few years now, where the local races will appear first. So I can't wait till we see the actual ballot, and it comes out the sample ballot. Those who are in the military, their ballots and their sample ballots and ballots will be dropping September 5th. The county has to put those out there. So all of those who live overseas, we have quite a few U.S. residents that live overseas. So their ballots is dropped immediately. So I believe after that point, we'll be able to see in the sample ballot our names. And so the local city races should be on the top of the ballot, even electronically when you go vote in person. It will be electronic. So it's very important for you guys to hold on and make sure you have possession of that ballot so that nobody can go vote in your name. And also, too, one of the reasons why it's a flip, I like to hold off because if there are certain things I'm not sure on, I want to go vote then when I make that decision. But at the other time, there is a propensity for possible voter fraud because
Yes.
the state of California does not mandate that you have to show your photo ID.
Right.
I can't even use my credit card without using a photo ID, to buy an ice cream cone or something like that. But they don't mandate it. So one of the problems I have with early voting, somebody in theory could go and vote in my name. As long as they have my name and address, they can show up at any voting center in the county and say my name, and they would have voted. So when I go to vote, it'll show that I'll get a big old box that says provisional, meaning I don't get to vote a regular ballot. They'll vote a provisional ballot. And for those of you familiar, it's like the purple envelope. And what it is the county will allow you to vote, but they will not count your ballot until they verify that nobody else has voted. So say, for example, someone voted in my name and I didn't know, and then I go to vote. I voted provisional, but then the county finds that my vote was counted already at the polls. So there go, my purple ballot that I just filled out will not get counted. So there's a lot of things. So first off is make sure you're registered to vote. Please make sure. register to vote now so that you will automatically get the sample ballot. The sample ballot is what shows the candidate statements that are very expensive, I had to pay for, but also too, it gives you an opportunity to see everybody who's running for office and what's going to be on the ballot, plus the language of the ballot measures you will have in detail. So that's part of the sample ballot that gets mailed out, and you won't get a copy of it if you're not registered to vote or you don't make sure that your registration is current.
Those are very, very crucial informations to receive because there is a big challenge to our voting system here in California, because all you need to do is show the letter that you received to vote, your name and your address. You don't need to show your identification. The other vulnerability of our system is there is the difference between a mailing address
Yes,
and
you're registered.
and the registered address. So that can also be manipulated if not be watched carefully. But we depend. It's an honorable system. It's a gentleman's system. In other words.
And they're not being very gentlemanlike. They're not being very honorable.
But that's the reason why people are not honorable. They have the tendency to manipulate the system and create havoc.
And ballot harvesting is now allowed in the state. So what that means is before you couldn't carry somebody's ballot. There's an envelope that you put it in, and you would have to sign on the outside. Only a family member or somebody. It was very specific on who could carry the ballot. Well, now in California, they allow for any registered voter to carry someone else's ballot. So in theory, if I were to have a Get Out the Vote event and I could just publicize online, hey, we're going to be at whatever location, come on by, bring your ballot, to make sure that we go and deliver it. Have it delivered, we take it to Norwalk. For those of you not familiar, the county registrar's office is the main office in Norwalk. But what it is I couldn't collect it because I'm a candidate, but I could have my volunteers collect it as long as they're a registered voter, and they would have to sign off saying that they have collected this ballot, and then you would go therefore, and your campaign would be responsible. So I wouldn't have a problem doing that because I know that we would be honorable in our actions and would be on the up and up. But I can't necessarily say that for anybody else, other groups, So there's a lot of things. So at the bare minimum for people, I tell them is to make sure you have in possession the ballot that is being mailed. If you don't get your ballot in the first week of October, week and a half, I said I highly recommend you contact the registrar's office and let them know you have not received your ballot. Because if someone else has possession of it, you want them to void that initial mailing and give you a reissued, if that'll be allowed. So there's a lot of things. And for those of you guys who are not familiar, my first job at the city of Carson, I worked for the city clerk, who is the local elections official. So from 96 to 2002, I worked for the city clerk's office. And even after I left the city clerk's office and went to another department, I still continued to work for our former city clerk during the election. So this is why I have that understanding from that aspect of how elections run, because I used to work in the elections office. But one of the things is, again, is especially with now, make sure you're registered to vote and make sure your voter registration, if you have an existing one, is current.
So your working experience, especially the position within assisting the clerk, the city clerk, but that's one of a very powerful position. It's like a general secretary that manage all the incoming of information and outgoing. The other thing that it's very important for our community to absorb is the importance of the voting process and procedures, because the county of LA had been put the stuff up in on the TV, the local TV station, and that the Charger Stadium is going to turn into a venue for the county of LA to
Wow.
To put the vote. That's a big. It's free parking.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they say it's free parking. Everything's free.
So it's going to be a voting center?
Yeah. No, one of the venues.
One of the venues to process the...
the voting.
Yes,
Or the
because
same?
what happens is Norwalk, as big as that facility is, it's still not going to be enough to accommodate.
No.
This is going to be an unprecedented turnout for elections because of the presidency. So those people who are not traditional voters are going to come out and vote. And those are my people.
Yeah.
Come
See,
and vote for me.
It's going to be a challenge for me because in the past, our church is one of the venue for our district.
Oh, it used to serve as a polling place.
Yes. So I just walk up to the fellowship hall and vote.
Yeah.
But now, I already registered to be
A poll worker?
to mail in my vote.
Oh, okay, so you applied for an absentee ballot.
Yeah.
So the difference between...
I already received the answer.
Okay.
And my number.
So before, an absentee ballot is when a voter would request. They would put in an application and request
Yeah.
to be to receive an absentee ballot. Years before they changed the law, you would only be allowed to request an absentee ballot if you had a medical reason or you were physically like a military or something like that. But now it's open to anybody to apply.
I will go to the venues
To go vote.
I feel good when I vote.
I do too.
So the reason why I did that because of the COVID-19 pandemic, because I very isolate myself if absolutely necessary. I confine myself within at home, so I don't have to expose myself to the pandemic and the COVID-19. So that's my reason. But when the final day comes around, I prefer going to the physical venue to cast my vote.
I do as well. It's such a...
It makes you feel good.
It
You
does.
Put that sticker up on your car and say, I just vote.
Yeah, see, I'm not one of those fake people who buy stickers, show that I voted. But no, it's a very patriotic thing. I'm a first-generation American. It's a proud
Very
thing to
good.
vote.
Yeah, that's the reason why I am so honored to have this conversation and host you
Thank you.
tonight because, again, not only full of vital information to enhance the knowledge of our people and especially the residents of Carson, but for myself.
Yes.
I learned a lot tonight.
Well, thank you. I'm happy you did.
So, in the near future, will be different interview done by different chosen people such as Lisa.
Yes.
When Lisa is available and whenever that day. And it will be, we're trying to bring people from different profession. Not just fight out with pastors all the time.
There's
Because-
nothing wrong with that, but I
no, but
enjoyed
we
it.
usually approach the political issue with theological implications. So
But it's what my faith is what leads me into service.
I'm glad to hear that. So we try to bring variation into the table, and also the hope is to help you,
Thank you.
promote you, expose you, and let our people know that you are a very capable, eligible candidate to run for city mayor of Carson.
Yes.
And it's a milestone.
It is.
It's a
It is a
milestone.
milestone, and I can't believe it's taken to 2020 to actually accomplish because, I don't take it lightly, and just the level of excitement that we're getting from our people of the thought of someone represented person in the state of California would be the first at a city level, a municipal level. We've never had a mayor or a state council member in the state of California. And,
Right.
So I don't take that lightly. It is definitely a sense of pride, and I definitely think it's long overdue. Our people have always been at the forefront of service. It was always service towards the family and towards the church, but it's a perfect segue into service to civic engagement. And I hope, if anything, that people get from me is the fact that they can totally take that energy and take that knowledge that they have and channel it towards civic engagement. Because one of the things I have found over and over for individuals who don't know who I am or know what I'm about and don't follow city politics is the thought that I'm doing something that people, the general public, tend to only look at Samoans as athletes, and that athletic abilities or their music.
That's a typical stereotyping
It's a
of
very
our,
typical stereotype.
of our people.
Right.
But I'm glad that you step into this new arena The atmosphere is not new to you.
No, it is not.
But the arena is getting higher and higher. You're setting a very high bar for the community. And also, this comes the 5L language. Because of the pandemic
Yes.
and the way things are, it's a divine intervention. Now, the technology is taking over to do a lot of our work, whether it's church work, community work, or political work. Everything is now taken over by the technology.
Yes.
So that, to me, using a pastoral theological language is a divine intervention. God always come in at God's time
Yes.
to lead us into a new era, to a new phase of our journey of faith in this world. So we are in that era right now, where God is intervening through the technology in order to change things. So many changes are happening, all the way from the federal level, state level, county level, to city levels. Now look at it. Now we're putting the priority to the city level,
Yes.
before the county, before the state, before the federal. The whole infrastructure is staying upside down.
Yes.
The little people is on the top.
Little people rule.
Yeah. And the big people are at the bottom. So because all these people we vote, the reason why we have public servants, whether it's federal, state, county, cities, is because the people voted them to
Yes.
go and serve them. But when you keep things in secrecy,
Yes.
the transparency become dark, and that is not good. So I hope, and my prayers for you, you will be the one chosen to
Thank you.
save the city of Carson at this capacity. Again, it's a milestone, and you're setting the bar for our community very high. So thank you so much once again. You can continue to address some of the vital areas that you hope to deepen the knowledge of our community pertaining the areas of city structures, votes, and stuff like that.
Well, one of the things, besides the voting and everything, it's also to show our people, showcase them in different avenues. One of the things that I have found always was that I'm a local union president. I represent employees, but it's not normal to have those of our people in leadership. And that we have lots of Samoans who are in unions, but they don't take that next step. I only know of one other person in union labor leadership role, and he also happened to be from Carson. But that bothers me, that our people put themselves down. We need to uplift our people because they have the abilities, they have the skill set. And one of the things I have found is that people are so quick to want to put you in a box. If God intended for all of us to be the same, we would be the same. And Lord knows I would be a lot skinnier. But, one of the things is to accept people as they are. And I feel like in our culture, our people are destined to be leaders because we're very accepting of others. We're very tolerant of others. What leads us is not our political party affiliations, but our faith. Our faith is what gathers us. And I feel that we are lacking that in our communities, our local communities. They say they lead by faith. Faith is what guides them, but that their actions show it's far from it. And so I feel for us, it's not just something that we do in Sundays. It's something that we live, we breathe. Everything we do. And my late mother, Arietta, which is also my middle name, would always say is that we are blessed by our talents, by God, to serve God and serve our community. So I've always considered my service to the city of Carson and the city to my union, my service, as my service. That is my public service. Not all of us are meant to be at the pulpit, so Pastor, you got that? But for the rest of us, there's way of serving and being honored, bringing honor in other facets. And part of that is through civic engagement. Part of that is getting involved. Part of that is the churches encouraging their people, their parishioners, to be civically engaged. You can be engaged in the church and in the public. This is one thing I find is lacking in Samoans, is that it's one-sided. In the Filipino community, which is very strong in the city, they are very open to faith engagement and civics. I feel that we as Samoans can do that too, and we're more naturally set for that. And so if me running for office in the highest seat in the city of Carson is going to engage people and open their eyes and open their hearts to it. I think that's awesome. I think that in itself is accomplishment, is to see one of their own Psalm 1 sisters breaking that mold and being able to do that. And let that be in a sense of encouragement for other kids to look at civic engagement, running for office, being a commissioner, do something that'll better the community.
Well, again, the reason why I was laughing, though, you used the metaphor of putting ideas or God or religion in a box. That means your pulpit is your work.
Yes.
That's you're not singing to a choir. You're singing to a.
You don't want me singing.
So
No, you don't want me singing.
I'm using the metaphor, referring to the people that knows you and stuff like that. So your congregation, or the community,
Yes.
your pulpit is your platform.
Correct.
You're serving everybody. So, because it's a very powerful metaphor, and most of the time. The reason why we turn against each other because we put God and our faith in a box,
Yes.
and we try to control God.
Yeah.
We have to understand that God controls everybody. God's agenda rules supreme, not ours. So we need to have that understanding of where we at, and what you said about the box is a very powerful metaphor in my understanding. So I'm glad to hear that you are very inclusive. You are very progressive, but at the same time, you are very careful about the vision that you have going to the future. And of course, part of my support or my prayers for you, because I vote as a resident of West Anthony, which is
Unincorporated.
Unincorporated city. That means
Yes.
we're under the county.
Yeah.
So I'm not able to vote in the city of Carson, but I pray
Thank you.
that you rise to the occasion, not by chance, but by divine design. So that's my small word of encouragement.
I appreciate it.
To encourage you and to give you that thrive and the perseverance, not to give up, but focus on your platform, focus on the reason why God calls you to rise to the occasion for the city of Carson and our community and all the residents of Carson. So we are gonna play music. We have a few more minutes to go. Before the end of our time
Yes.
together. And then you can make a little submission, and we all going to add into it, and we say farewell to our community.
Thank you.
Our Samoa, the greatest place of all. She is green and blue, lush with beauty, and hearts as pure as gold. Touch someone with tears of joy. Touch someone with smiles of love. Oh, what happy feelings from such happy people. We are Samoa, people from the sun. We are Samoa, and our heritage lives on. Teach the world humanity and hospitality. We are Samoa, fatu ole a e se mea e ao na fai e tau tuai mo oe o sa sae masisifo e tasi o le vinga lea i le langi ai ngā manu tai tasi tu mai lo ao ta pepe se fatasi
Ia, o le pesele nā e suasu tuai vai malu I puenga I la o tau whita whaafonga ia e maise fōi o le tau whapalipale ma le onsai e tusai ma le talanoanga se tasi o halo Samoa ia o lo tau whai e whaia ea I lo tātou atunu ma tau tua I lo tātou atunu e ala I le ai tele o Carson I le tofi o le whaipule. So I'm going to give the last opportunity for our guest tonight for a summation about the discussion tonight. Before we, Tuilaipa and I will also say a few words before I close our night with a word of prayer. So,
once again, I want to thank you guys again, Pastor, for inviting me and Tai. Also to remind everybody on November 3rd to make sure to vote for Meni. My name will be the first name on the ballot, so it'll be Falia Ana Arieta Meni. I wanted to make sure to honor my parents. I'm named after my parents, to have someone my given name. And also to follow my social media handles. They just went live. It's Meni for Mayor, MENI, number 4 Mayor on Facebook and Instagram. Well, because of COVID and the shutdown, social media is the way to go for me. And also I also have the online link for you to donate to the campaign. No contribution is too little or too big. I accept everything, and I accept it with open arms, and very grateful that even during these times, everybody has made an effort to donate to my campaign, because I'm fighting against the establishment. And so I want you guys to be part of history. You're not just putting someone's sister up, you're putting somebody up who is actually capable of her abilities to lead our city. And so I'd love for you guys to be part of that. And so I thank you guys again. Make sure we'll be in touch, but make sure to please follow my social media handles, Meni for Mayor on Facebook and Instagram, because we'll be also having different lives going on and doing Q&As in the next coming weeks to further engage with our community. One of the things is our elected officials shy away from social media because they're not able to control what comes in or calls. I welcome that. You know, it gives me perspective, but it gives me a sense of connection with our community, and that's what we need to do is connect. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to give me a call. My cell number is 310-507-4661. Feel free to call or text me. And I try my best to get back to everybody. But once again, thank you guys. I hope you guys remember to vote for me and share with your family and your friends the different pages, because they won't know unless you reach out and tell them. So best thing that anybody can do, if you're not even able to contribute, is to share our social media page, share our profile, so that people even know that I exist. We need to get our people civically engaged. We need to get them involved. And if this is the first time you're going to be engaged, let it be to vote for me.
Ia, o le nā Samoa, nā o tau whaafonga, le whinangalo oto, o tu ina atu le tātou sui, tau wā mo le city of Carson. Again, I want to remind our community, according to its proper address and etiquette, and that our guest choose to articulate herself in the English language, and in order to reach the younger generations. Again, knowledge and education is all start at home. Hopefully, my contribution to you, Anna, are my prayers. Not limited to that. I won't say that I will contribute financially, but I will do according to my heart dictates to support you in each and every aspect of your success. You will be success if we believe in our prayers and the calling of God for you to rise to the occasion. Those are my final words.
Thank you very much, Father.
Rā matu le sunga le whatonu, ia ona liu mai lea, ona whaai ura le tātou mawhitanga I se talo.
Ia manatu sa mo le ua tātou angai mai whai unga tātou por kalame, whawtai tele ia le taupati, ia ma le mawhita mai le ni tūla whiawhi. Awa ni ngalo ia ate oe, o lau sui tau wā, I le sui a whaipule, sui a pule nuu, ia o le ayu Carson pi o na whaai no atu. Ia le lei lava le tātou pupu lima whaatasi, support I o lau tama whanau, a whapea o nofo I whafo atu o California. Ia o le nā o le atu I nā tulunga whisoa soa ni mai I le campaign through donations. E le wau ia mea le lei. A o ina whamanuia ina o tātou tangata po le ale, ia e meise lava tu tonu o vanga wha uwhai ale nei atu nuu, e le o to atele ni o tātou tangata o iai, e mo teimi nei, ia e moni atu langa whaaftai Samoa o le asolulu, ia e toe maua I fo I le avanoa le sunga le tamaitai whaolioli, pule nuu whaolioli, ia po le mea whaolioli a le tātou ai tele o Carsone, ia toe maftumai le asolulu whatasi e marasunga le whaiwhi au ia misi po wena tangaloa I le porkalame, ingo le porkalame iautou Manuia. Ai moritami nei, ia Manuia tele Samoa, I nei vai aso I whiau mga ruanga. So I fua ia.
Se o tātou whai ure talo. Shall we pray? Le tua fofoa ma le tua whetalai. Le tua le ola o le tua le amiotonu. O le tua saili mai pēa ina ia mawhai o na whatino o mātou tiu te mawhai vai tu sai o lau wāla au. Wha moe moe o le nei tangwa whiawhi e pēo na iai ma se tasi o awhawhine o le tunu. E la whaai wha moe moe o ao le angalei. E te lima taitaina ma tau ao ina. Le wha moe moe ina hiu I lo vi inga. Ai wha o ngai pēlo na yeso I fua tautua e tautua ai. Le tunu o Samoa o ina tau uma. O papa ao ia manofo I le ai o Carson. So o la mātou te talo lea le tua. Creator God, God of the whole universe, God of justice, God of providence. We come to you to lift up your name and your glory and ask for your blessing upon Anna, Meni, for the hope to become the next mayor of the city of Carson. All things are possible with your blessing and your divine intervention. All this we ask in the name of your Savior, of our Savior Jesus Christ and your Son. Amen.